Good morning. I'm going to call to order the public meeting of the Arapahoe County Board of County Commissioners for June 12th, 2018. To my left is Ron Carl, the county attorney. To my far right is Jolene Sanchez, the assistant clerk to the board. Ms. Sanchez, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jackson is absent and excused.
Correct.
Commissioner Holland is also absent and excused.
Correct.
Commissioner Sharp.
Here.
Commissioner Conti.
Here.
Good morning. Good morning. And Commissioner Baker.
Here. Commissioner Sharp, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Carl, are there any modifications to the agenda?
Yes, there's been a request to pull items 6D and 6E from the consent agenda.
I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as modified.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Conti, seconded by Commissioner Sharp. All in favor? Aye. That motion carries. Citizens are invited to speak to the commissioners on anything that's not currently scheduled to be discussed on the agenda. There's a 3-minute time limit per person. And we have some lights here in the front that will turn yellow when you have 30 seconds left and red when your 3 minutes is up. Do I have any citizens that would like to comment? I see a number. Start over here. Ms. Roberts. And if you would state your name and address for the record as usual.
Becky Roberts, 714 in Bowden Mile Road, Watkins, Colorado. I represent the 22 members of the Watkins Task Force and the 72 Watkins residents who signed the Swan petition I previously gave you. The proposed Swan Well location poses challenges for all residents of Watkins Farm. An evacuation would require all 62 families in Watkins Farm to move toward the emergency. This location was not chosen with residents' health, welfare, and safety in mind. Hoping that a spill, blowout, lightning strike, fire, or explosion doesn't happen is not an emergency plan. Yet, at the April 4th open house for Watkins residents, first responders reported not having an emergency plan in writing that we could review and practice. I am a retired school teacher, and in safety and effectively evacuating in an emergency, one must practice with those needing to evacuate. Schools practice at least once monthly fire, tornado, and active shooter drills. ConocoPhillips is initially only applying for one well on this site to avoid the BOCC rules for multi-well facilities. However, their plans still include using 12.79 acres for one well, or the size of 12 football fields. Moving this facility further to the west away from Watkins Farm would greatly improve protecting the safety and health of all Watkins Farm residences. On May 18th, Kent Custer, environmental specialist with the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, stated 3 major concerns about the Swan Well site: location, evacuation, and emissions. He noted after 2 on-site visits that Watkins Farm is surrounded by vacant land. The picture taken from my granddaughter's bedroom, where the Swan site would be, shows 8 square miles of vacant land. Mr. Custer wrote, quote, "Residents should not have an oil and gas well site close to the entrance of their subdivision." He recommends that, quote, "The COGCC require an alternative site analysis that closely examines the ability of the operator to extract minerals from another location." The map shows the proposed Swan site traps all Watkins Farm residents in the event of fire, blowout, or explosion. Average evacuation distance for a well blowout is 0.8 of a mile. The single road out 900 feet on the south side of Swan and the proposed emergency road on the north side expect residents to evacuate closer to the well. Fire and Rescue indicated to Mr. Custer that they have, quote, "conducted emergency response planning," but they still do not have a written plan. Residents were told the plan was in the sheriff's head. Mr. Custer's conclusion is that, quote, finding an alternative location may be the best solution. 62 families living in Watkins Farm agree. I urge Mr. David Schmidt and the county commissioners elevate the Swan site to use by special review and require ConocoPhillips conduct an alternative site analysis that examines their ability to extract minerals from a safer distance from Watkins Farm residences. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Are there any other citizens that would like to speak? Please come forward. And again, you'll have 3 minutes. The lights will tell you when you have 30 seconds. And if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jean Jaffe. My address is 9398 East Evans Place. I'm here because of the change in the zoning that you're proposing to allow chickens in unincorporated Arapahoe County. We do not want chickens allowed in our neighborhood, Huntington Estates. Our neighbor asked us before getting their chickens, they told us we wouldn't even know that they were there, but that is not what... This is what we hear all the time. We can't even enjoy our patio in the afternoon because of the chickens squawking. When we moved into the neighborhood 32 years ago, we moved there because it was secluded and quiet. It's not anymore. I feel like we have a farm next door to us. There are other places in Arapahoe County that are more appropriate for people to raise chickens than in Huntington Estates. I'm sure you surveyed all the neighbors and homeowners around the area, and they don't care because they don't live next to the chickens. In fact, I measured it this morning, and we are 50 feet from the chicken coop to my bedroom and my patio, which I think is way too close. So if you have to change the zoning, I would like it if you could put some restrictions on it, maybe 5 acres of land to give a buffer, because right now there is no buffer, or just don't allow it in well-established custom home neighborhoods that have been established for over 30 years as single-family homes, not farmyards. I'm not against raising chickens at all. I just don't want it at Huntington Estates where our homes are so close. The other thing that I would ask is that if you do change the zoning, could you enforce it? Because right now it's not being enforced. It's for the last 3-4 months. These people have had chickens for 2 years over there, and I know it's, again, zoning to have chickens in our neighborhood, and nothing's being done. In fact, we've called, neighbors have called, and we were told there was nothing that could be done. So, thank you.
Yes, I was just wondering, clarifying, what are the lot sizes that you're referring to that exist there in Huntington Estates?
1/3 of an acre.
Thank you, Ms. Jaffe. Any other citizen comments at this time, sir? And if you'll state your name and address for the record, please, and keep your eye on the lights up here in front.
My name is Alan Jaffe, and I just want to piggyback a couple things on what was just previously stated. I have contacted the police. I have contacted animal control regarding the noise. Police say they can do nothing. Animal control says it's up to zoning. When I've contacted zoning, which they say the neighbors are in violation of the current code, nothing has been done. When I contacted the neighbor says the county has contacted them and they feel that they're being, what was the term? We're ganging up on them. I don't know what the county had said to them or approached them with, but my big concern besides the noise and being so close to our home is a health issue. I don't know anything about raising chickens. It's just an annoyance. And we moved in the neighborhood because there was no farming. It's a custom-built neighborhood, residential area, and the HOA it's in the HOA that they should not raise chickens. What I received back from Commissioner Jackson was that they are in violation. They are not pets, according to Section 3, 200 R3 residential identities regarding pets. The definition of pets does not include chickens, geese, ducks, turkeys, or other poultry. I'm just paraphrasing. And we'd like to make sure that the zoning does no longer or continues to not allow chickens or bees. They've had bees there too, but we don't know what I don't know about the health concern with bees other than stinging, but it's the chickens that are the main thing that's a big disruption in our neighborhood and our home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jaffe. Are there any other citizen comments? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please. Good morning.
My name is Dana Ireland. I live at 9359 East Evans Place, across the street from the chicken house. It is a disruption, and we do live in a community that was quiet, and now there's this constant clucking and squawking and chicken fighting throughout the day. It's very annoying to enjoy our yards. I don't know what you can do about it. We have called in also about the disruption. If you have a barking dog, animal control will come and give people tickets. The chickens are just noisy all throughout the day. And I think it's lowering our property values. And my spouse is in the real estate business, and he feels that it's probably dropped our values about $100,000 just by having the constant noise and feeling like we're living on a farm. So I hope that you will not allow more chickens. And what's to stop people from having 7 to 100 chickens and running a chicken farm? So that's kind of our concern. So thank you.
Commissioner Conti.
Yes. I'm just wondering, do you happen to have knowledge of how many chickens are present currently at the house?
I think I counted 10 when they first got them. I'm really not sure. 7 to 10, but they are noisy.
Commissioner Sharp.
And I think Mr. Jaffe said you have homeowners association, and in the covenants it prohibits chickens.
That's correct.
Okay.
But these people are just doing what they want.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you.
Any other citizen comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have one set of minutes to approve. These are the minutes from May 15th, 2018.
And Mr. Chairman, I think since there are only 3 of us here today, and I was absent and excused that day, I think we'll move those. I would recommend we move those to our next meeting for approval.
Is that a motion? Do we need a motion for that, or just
Yeah, a motion to continue it to the next meeting.
So that's a motion,
Continue it to the next meeting. That would be my motion.
and I'll go ahead and second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the public meeting minutes of May 15th, 2018 will be continued until next week. Are there any questions or concerns from the commissioners about our consent agenda? We did already approve the agenda, but I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
Seconded. Motion made by Commissioner Sharp, seconded by Commissioner Conti. All in favor? Aye. That motion carries. We have a number of things on our general business item. The first one is a public hearing, SD 18-001, Iliff Avenue Metropolitan District Service Plan. And the attorney on this is Robert Hill, our Senior Assistant County Attorney. Mr. Hill, would you please lay the foundation for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request to approve a Metropolitan District Service Plan for the Iliff Avenue Metro District, our proposed Metro District. This has been noticed pursuant to statutory requirements by mailing to property owners within the boundaries of the proposed district, as well as publication by newspaper to meet the requisite times. The board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Our presenter this morning is Jason Reynolds, the current planning manager. Good morning, Mr. Reynolds.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of County Commissioners. This is a proposal for a service plan for a new metropolitan district to serve the Iliff Avenue townhomes and Iliff Avenue single-family homes developments. And a metropolitan district, I'll call it a metro district from here on, it's a unit of local government which provides public improvements and services to property owners and residents inside that district. Metro districts are generally used by developments to help finance public improvements like roads, water lines, sewer lines, and parks. They can issue bonds and levy taxes just like other government entities. And under Colorado law, the County Planning Commission makes a recommendation and the Board of County Commissioners may approve a proposed Metro District Service Plan, which functions kind of like a charter for the Metro District. A city government has a charter, a Metro District has a service plan. And the proposed district would serve 189 residential units in the Iliff Avenue townhomes and Highline Creek Estates developments, which are shown on the slide there. And the Board of County Commissioners has approved the final development plans and final plats for both of those developments. The applicant is planning to use this proposed metropolitan district to provide infrastructure and serve the area with recreational amenities. The service plan allows a maximum debt obligation of about $7.5 million. And if construction costs do exceed that amount, the developer would have to pay the excess. So the maximum is $7.5 million in debt, and the proposed maximum mill levy for property taxes is 50 mills, which is 5%, with up to 10 mills to allow for ongoing operations, maintenance, and administrative costs. For example, there's a pool as a component of the recreational facilities, and that would have to be maintained. Staff reviewed the proposed service plan, determined that it meets the statutory criteria for a service plan, and those criteria are outlined in the staff report. The county also engaged an independent financial consultant, Ehlers Incorporated, to review the service plan. Initially, the consultant raised a few questions and issues with the proposal, and the applicant updated the service plan to address those comments. The consultant does not have any objections to the service plan that's included in the Board of County Commissioners packet. Staff recommended approval, and the public hearing at the Planning Commission was on April 17th, 2018. A representative from the 4 Square Mile neighborhood spoke in support of the district, citing the need for additional recreational facilities in the 4 Square Mile area, which this would provide or help to provide. Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval, recommending a condition that the Metro District apply fees to users who are not within the district, with the goal being that people who are outside the district and not paying taxes in the district would have to pay their fair share for the recreational facilities. The applicant included that provision in the documents you see today, and Planning Commission recommended unanimously for approval. I can answer questions if the board has any, and the applicant's representative is also here if you need more detail from them.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Sharp.
Mr. Reynolds, can you tell us what were the changes that Mr. Harrington recommended to or maybe the applicant?
The applicant may be able to describe those in more detail, but there were a number of clarifications and questions about the financing and also some of how the mill levies could potentially increase if property tax assessments are adjusted. But the applicant's attorney made all those changes as requested by the consultant.
Okay.
Commissioner Conti, did you have a question for Jason? Okay. May we have the applicant come forward,
Certainly.
Please?
And I'll just leave the slide up there for them.
Great. Thank you. Good morning. If you'd state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Joan Fritchie. I'm an attorney with Norton and Smith, 1331 17th Street, Suite 500, Denver, Colorado. And I'm representing the applicant, which is Alpert Development.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have any presentation, or do you just want to? There was a question asked by Commissioner Sharp about the recommendations from Mr. Harrington. Can you maybe clarify a little bit what those?
I can address that and also go into a little more detail, if you would like, about the services and facilities that will be provided by the Metropolitan District.
I think I'm aware of those. Just was curious to know, of the changes. Were they substantial changes, or just in what kinds of clarifications?
So in the financial plan, which is an exhibit, a mandatory exhibit to the service plan, it was prepared by Simmons and Wheeler a few months before we submitted the service plan. So Mr. Harrington noted that the start date for the debt service mill levy should be pushed back a year based upon when the district would be formed and when a mill levy would be imposed. He also had questions about 10 mills for operations and maintenance. Oftentimes, what I would call a bare bones metropolitan district can function on approximately 5 mills for operations and maintenance. But this district will own and maintain a swimming pool and a clubhouse, and also additional storm drainage facilities. So we felt the need for 10 mills for operations and maintenance.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Is this area, I believe it is, in the SIMSWA district for stormwater?
Yes, it is. SEMSWA does not accept any of the facilities. They need to be built and maintained to their standards, but they are not accepting any of the on-site stormwater facilities.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Ritchie?
I do have one other comment.
Yes.
In the proposed motion for approval, it requests that the landscaping maintenance obligation be changed from property owner to either the homeowners association or the Metropolitan District. The landscaping is in a tract which will be owned by the homeowners association, so that issue is actually already will be addressed.
Okay. So, but for the motion, including the other things, or Iliff Avenue Metropolitan District, I mean, it can be as stated, and that includes the homeowners association. So I guess it's to Developer Homeowners Association or Iliff Avenue Metropolitan District. So I think staff, and if Jason is still here, the wording of or, so any of those would be acceptable. Is that correct? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? If none, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm going to open up for public comment at this time.
I would also just like to thank Mr. Reynolds for being incredibly cooperative, and he's very knowledgeable about districts, so he's a pleasure to work with. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anybody who signed up to speak?
No one signed up to speak.
I'm going to open up public comment. If there's anyone here in the audience that is here to address the Board of County Commissioners on SD 11-001 Iliff Avenue Metropolitan District Service Plan, please make yourself known. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Excellent. Thank you.
In the case of SD 18-001 Iliff Avenue Metro District Service Plan, I have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation or the presentation discussion from the attorney and any public comment, there wasn't any, as presented at the hearing, and hereby move to approve the application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. Number one, The applicant must address Public Works staff comments and concerns. 2, on page 9, section F of the service plan, change the landscaping maintenance obligation from, quote, the property owner to, quote, developer, quote, homeowners association or Iliff Avenue Metropolitan District. 3, in Exhibit A, in the legal description, insert the recording information for the Highline Creek Estates final plat.
So there's been a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Conti. All in favor? Aye. And so there's no opposition. And again, Commissioner Holland and Jackson are absent and excused. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing for the Urban, County, and Home Consortium recertification. Our attorney on this matter is Tiffany Blue, Senior Assistant County Attorney. Ms. Blue, would you please set the foundation for us?
Yes, as you stated, this is a public hearing on the Urban, County, and Home Consortium recertification. It has been noticed as required by federal law.
Thank you very much. Our presenter this morning is Liana Escott, Community Development Administrator, Community Resources. I'm sorry, it's Linda Haley.
We just like to switch it out once in a while.
All righty. Linda Haley will be presenting this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. The purpose of this public hearing is to request approval for the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners to sign the intergovernmental cooperation agreements between Arapahoe County and participating municipalities relating to the conduct of the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership programs for program grant years 2019 through 2021. The participating members are Deer Trail, Glendale, Englewood, Greenwood Village, Sheridan, Littleton, and Centennial. We did do the legal notice, and we received no public comment through that avenue. We reviewed this at a study session on May 22nd before we moved it on to public hearing. If anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Any questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Hayes.
Thank you.
So this is a public hearing as well. So I need to open up for public comment. Are there any citizens here to address the Board of County Commissioners on the Urban, County, and Home Consortium recertification?
Commissioner Baker, no one signed up to speak on this item as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'm going to close public comment, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I move that the Board of County Commissioners authorize the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners to sign the letter of intergovernmental agreement by and between Arapahoe County, the participating municipalities of Sheridan, Deer Trail, Littleton, Englewood, Glendale, and Greenwood Village, and Centennial relating to the conduct of the Community Development Block Grant, otherwise known as CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership Program for program grant years 2019 to 2021.
And I will second that motion. So the motion has been made by Commissioner Conti, seconded by Commissioner Baker. All in favor? Aye. No opposed or abstentions, so that motion carries. Thank you very much, Tiffany. We have one other general business item. This is ordinance number 2018-01, banning the sale, use, and possession of fireworks. The attorney is our county attorney, Ron Carl, and we have a presentation by John Christofferson, right? Nope. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Carl, would you set the foundation, please?
Yes, this is a consideration of a resolution to adopt Arapahoe County Ordinance number 2018-01, which would ban the sale, use, and possession of fireworks in unincorporated Arapahoe County. This matter was previously scheduled for May 22nd, 2018. It was continued to today's date so that the board could get some additional information regarding the fire danger. Nate Fogg from the Sheriff's Office is here and prepared to provide that information as to the current fire danger. And I would note that in your packet there were 3 motions for your consideration. One was to adopt the ordinance, one was to not adopt the ordinance, and one was to again continue. And that I have drafted an additional alternative motion, which would what it would do would be to adopt the ordinance banning the sale and use of fireworks, but not the possession of fireworks. So you have 4 alternative motions at your disposal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carl. Good morning, Nathan. Mr. Fogg, would you please give us an update on the fire danger?
Sure. So go through real quickly. On the slide here is an outlook for the month of June relating to temperatures from NOAA. And you can see about the line where we turn orange and less of an orange, where the number 40 is, that's our area, showing us that we have an above average. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Let's see how good my aim is. Right about there is Arapahoe County. And so our temperature profile for this month means that we are going to be above our normal temperatures. Second thing that helps us predict our fire danger system locally is our fine dead fuel moistures. And that is the type of fuels. We call it a class 3 fuel, model 3 fuel. It's a grass and some small brush that respond solely to the ambient temperatures around them, including the time of day, the air temperatures, the humidity, cloudiness, those things that drive your relative humidity and air moisture. These are measurements that myself and my staff have taken around the Sheriff's Office headquarters, so further east from here, obviously. And what it's showing is some variability in our moistures, but that trending is going closer to 0 over time. The far right is the 10th of June, and it shows that at one point in the morning that moisture was down to 2, which is almost as dry as you can get, and then recovered slightly into still an incredibly flashy, spark-inducing 4. Another number that we deal with based on those calculations is called the PIG, or the probability of ignition. And on the chart on the left shows our probabilities for May. And again, these are measurements and calculations that we take based on training through the National Wildland Coordinating Group, which is our certifying entity for our wildland firefighters.
Question again. There are 2 graphs there. Can you said what months they were from? Right. Again, what is the one on the left?
The one on the left is for the month of May, and the one on the right is June, and it's current to the 11th, which is yesterday. So the probability of ignition means that for every 10 embers cast from a fire that was already burning, what number of them would start an additional fire. So for June, well, let me back up. For May, we see that we had some fairly wet periods in the middle there, right? Those days are from the 2nd until about the 5th, where our probability was 0. That means it was raining. During rain, we're not going to get those spot fires. As the month continues, you see that those trends start moving up until one point it actually hit 90%. 9 out of 10 embers are going to start a fire towards the end of the month. June 1st is the first point on this map right here. That number is 100%. Indeed, we had a fire that day. And those numbers have hovered. There's the one anomaly on the 7th where the probability dropped down to 30, but by and large, those numbers are well above 50% for the month so far. No trending that I'm seeing shows that that's going to change. So June 1st, this was the day that we had that probability of ignition at 100%, and here's a fire that we worked that day and that night as well. So you see that red line is a measurement of a half mile to give you some scale sense of scale on that fire, it was over 100 acres. To give you a sense of heat, this is infrared imagery from a state aircraft that we use to help us figure out the perimeter of this fire. All the white spots are heat. The red dots here indicate hot spots on this fire. The temperature, the humidity, the probability of ignition caused some erratic behavior. You notice here there was a head fire, here there was a head fire, and here. It actually started spreading in 3 different directions. The cost to the sheriff and the county for that fire was $15,500. Going back to the National Fire Danger Rating System, that is a requirement for us in statute to enact this kind of ordinance. This is yesterday's numbers and what we're seeing, obviously, here's the county, and we have two colors that are in Arapahoe County. High is the yellow, and very high is the orange. Those are yesterday's numbers. This is sourced from www.wfas.net, which is a consortium of the National Wildland Coordinating Group. So it includes the Forest Service, the Department of Agriculture, and other entities. Ultimately, it's what the statute says we need to look at. Today's numbers for danger. Again, Arapahoe County, see on the west side where we're at, we have a high danger. Trend further east, it goes up to very high, and in the middle of the county, severe. It goes no higher than severe.
Severe is the highest.
Severe is the highest. That is the highest it can go. And those are the conditions today. So I have, for your reference, copies of the maps as well.
Thank you.
That appears basically to show maybe a third of the county is in severe. Is that close to what you would say?
That looks pretty close to me, Commissioner.
About a third?
About a third. Significant portion. The middle.
Okay. Questions?
Just curious, this severe area here, Mr. Fogg, if you could, is that, to give me a sense of scale, I'm looking at I-70 East and 470, so we're somewhere, so this is well east of the fairgrounds, correct?
So the fairgrounds are going to be, roughly that's 470, right about here. So right on the border of that red finger into the orange, about the middle.
Okay.
So we're looking at Byers, some parts of Strasburg, Watkins. A lot of our population centers in the Eastern Plains are in severe status today.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Or do you have another presentation to make?
Based on this, I'd ask that the board enact the ordinance banning the fireworks.
Questions for Mr. Fogg? No. Thank you very much. This is a general business item. We're not required to receive public comment, but I believe that this is an issue that is sufficiently controversial enough that if there is anyone here who would like to address the board on this issue, I would, Mr. Weatherall, and if you would state your name and address adjust the mic as you need, and please, any handouts to Jolene. Okay. We're not required to. We don't need a motion.
My name is Brad Witherell, and I'm sorry, you ready?
Yes.
My address is 7361 Fox Creek Trail, Franktown, Colorado. Commissioners, I'm extremely confused. This whole thing kind of started at the first commissioners meeting, and I had conversations with Nate Fogg about what he uses for his credible evidence. And he had told me that he uses a National Interagency Center, or NIFC.com, NIFA.com. And that was that map that you had seen where it showed projections of June as being in the, not in the normal range, but in the above normal fire range. So anyway, that's what I based everything on today. And June looks, and I wish I had something to put it up on the board, but basically it shows Arapahoe County as normal for June, and it's projecting that yeah. Where do you put it?
Right in front of you.
On the table there, and face it towards you, kind of up towards the center of the table.
Closer towards me.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Perfect. Boy, aren't you guys fancy?
Technology.
Anyways, you can see Arapahoe County is in the normal range. And again, this is just a prediction, but this is what started this whole thing, was the Sheriff's Department was predicting that we would have a high levels in June. So this is showing, it is June now, so this is showing that it is in the white. And here is that same website with the prediction for July, which is completely in the normal range. They also have a daily projection, or I guess if it's past that day, it shows exactly what the county is in right now. So this is from yesterday. So as of yesterday, this shows the yellow is low risk, and the green is likely or no risk. So you can see that the county, I don't know if you guys, I wish I had a pointer, but basically everyone knows pretty much where Arapahoe County is roughly on that Colorado State map. So it's halfway into the green and the yellow, which is low and no fire danger. Now this is as of today, which is 12. And the tan areas are moderate risk. So you can see that about half the county is in moderate risk. Oh, there we go.
If you could point to what you're identifying as Arapahoe County.
Arapahoe County is roughly right here. So you've got a little bit of everything going. You've got the yellow, green, and the tan color. This is what they're projecting for tomorrow, which again, Arapahoe County is roughly in this area. Again, you've got a mix of all three. Now, nothing is in the high range at this point. It's moderate, which is the tan. This is Thursday, about identical.
This is forecast?
This is coming.
Yeah. So this will be a forecast?
This is a forecast of Thursday, correct. Now, we're getting rain this weekend, so this is a forecast of Friday. Arapahoe County is completely in the green at this point. I love this, by the way. This is very nice. This is Saturday, completely in the green. Almost the whole area is in the green. Sunday, same thing. And this is Monday, the same thing. So we're getting some great rain coming this weekend, according to all the forecasts. And again, this is the website that Nate Fogg said that they use. So I don't know which other website he's using at this point, but this is what we're basing it off of after our last meeting. Again, I don't know. I actually talked to the attorney, Ron Carl, also, and I don't know if there's an option to do any kind of a staged fire ban, stage 1, stage 2, similar to what the other metro counties do. Stage 1, typically they don't ban the sale, they just ban the use. Stage 2, typically they ban both. So I don't know what that would take, if that's something you folks, if this ordinance can be changed for that or something along that lines. And I actually did talk to Nate as well, And he said he would be in favor of something along that lines as well. But that would be something you might want to ask him about.
We do have a 3-minute time limit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm over. Okay.
That's okay. But I want to make sure you've got and then anything else that you're.
The only other thing is, I definitely don't agree with banning the possession. That's going to open up a whole can of worms. Someone buys something from one of our locations, a sparkler. They take it home. Fire ban goes into effect. Now they're a criminal. You've got citizens as criminals. I think you're opening a whole can of worms with that. But
thank you, Mr. Weatherup.
Thank you for your time. Sorry I went over. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else that would like to come forward? You'll have a 3-minute limit, and so keep your eye on the yellow light and the red light. And if you could state your name, adjust the mic as appropriate, and state your name for the record. So name and address for the record.
Yes. My name is Britton Cottrell. My address is 4327 West 31st Street, and that's in Greeley. And I'm here today just to kind of follow up with what has already been said. We are excited that there is rain coming, but I want to just address the fireworks again, and I did this kind of the first time, just talking about the types of fireworks that Colorado allows. The ban that you are considering would only ban legal fireworks, right? It does not ban illegal fireworks that people use and generally everybody gets upset about because they're flying through the air. Those are fireworks that people have obtained illegally, and certainly not at any one of our stands or tents here in Colorado. So you'd only be eliminating what has been designed to be safe and sane. Those fireworks that the state of Colorado has adopted as legal fireworks, we refer to as safe and sane fireworks. They were developed specifically for states that are extremely dry at times, like Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, California, states that currently right now have a much more intense drought than even we're experiencing here, yet they have still allowed the sale of these fireworks because those fireworks were designed to be used in a safe manner in a driveway or a street that's a small area. Those fireworks only go about 10 feet in diameter, 10 feet high. And really, the idea is that you want to promote safety, and I think that's what's important. I love Colorado. My families are natives here to Colorado. We love our beautiful state, and none of us want to see there be problems. But I think the answer into just banning and causing maybe some confusion or driving people away from the safe product, now that it's banned and they can't have it, they end up going to other places to obtain their fireworks, is to promote a campaign of safety, to encourage people to buy locally because we know that those are the safe fireworks, to buy from within our county, use them in your driveway, use them in your streets because we know that they're going to be safe. If we do a fire ban, I'm afraid that it causes people to go hide out in their backyards. They're going to find their fireworks. They want to light fireworks. They feel like it's a kind of an American tradition. And so they end up going into secret places to hide from the authorities. And I think that's when the danger increases. Our company has adopted a safety campaign. We are instructing people when they buy from us, where is it safe to light fireworks? How can you light fireworks safely? I think that would be an approach that I would encourage the commissioners to consider, is that we are excited that rain is on its way, and we feel like it's trending to better moisture for us, and to allow our citizens to have something that would be appropriate is those legal fireworks that we are able to sell here and not drive people to those black markets. I see I'm running out of time, but I just thank you for your time and consideration on our companies who have invested money here in this community. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cottrell. Are there any other public comments? Please come forward, sir. There will be a 3-minute limit, and please state your name and address for the...
My name is Pete Elliott. I am a property owner in the county. We did purchase the property for these sales. I'd like to follow up on some of the other gentlemen had, and as he was talking about, these fireworks are designed for the western states where there are drier areas. And these fireworks were designed to be able to be reached by fire extinguishers and hoses in people's front yards for families utilizing them. And as he was saying, the big problem is, and I would think that most of the fire authority would recognize this, that the problem is the ones that aren't approved that some of the citizens, unfortunately, are breaking the law, traveling to Wyoming, or some guy out of his trunk is selling the unapproved fireworks that are safe for our county, were designed for our county, and we're becoming the poster child for those fireworks. These fireworks are like, as he stated, 10, 12 feet in the air, designed to be in the driveways of the citizens that choose to use these in the county. They are safe. They are safe for droughts. They are safe, like as I said, for the western states. They have been designed for these. I believe Colorado and your county has done a great job in adopting the correct fireworks for use in this county. The problem, as he was saying, they will go to another county to purchase these fireworks. And as they're saying, we don't want to turn our citizens into criminals by carrying these products around. You've done a great job. If we somehow can find a way to regulate these illegal fireworks that they're bringing into the county, I believe we are safe in the ones we are selling out of our locations. Maybe stiffer fines, something to outweigh the reward for the risk. I really believe you keep the stuff out of the air. It extremely limits the fires and the problems. And as I said, my family is property owners here. We probably paid, I think, $20,000 last year in taxes. And we definitely would like to be doing business this year. So I'd hope that you do not ban the fireworks this year that are used for the porches, the driveways, the front yards, where the hoses and the fire extinguishers are available in case of any accidents. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elliott. Are there any other public comments at this time? If not, we'll close public comment. Any discussion or questions? I had a question for Nate Fogg, just real quickly, because there were some questions about what we use, and I believe that we use a variety of different, I've seen different rating systems, different input, and even we do some checking of our own. When I say we, the county sheriff's office, which I believe is the fire marshal for Arapahoe County, that's your responsibility to do those checks, the probability of ignition and those kinds of things. Those are done in-house, and then we look at a variety of different indexes that are available to us. Is that correct?
That is correct. And ultimately, what the slide that you have in front of you, the map for today, is the document or the information source that is required by statute in order to enact the ordinance.
Okay. Question.
Mr. Fogg, thank you so much for your being here. And just wanted to ask, I did go to my trusty weather app on my phone and confirm that we do have rain in the forecast beginning on Sunday, and then kind of a rainy period continuing through next Wednesday. So we've got better than a 50% chance, 80% chance on Sunday, and then 50%, and then lowering to like 50% chance once we get into the week through Wednesday. And I'm just curious, how much rain would we need to receive in order to change this, back this up? Sorry, if you know.
To start lowering the danger into the
exactly.
And
yeah.
I don't have those exact numbers. I note that this NIFIC, the NIFC, that National Interagency Fire Center that Brad was mentioning earlier, is a source of information that we use as well. And it indicates in a series of I think it's 35 different slides that I don't have with me today, that we are in a moderate to severe drought. The predictions I've seen for 1/10 of an inch a day for the next 3 to 4 days are not enough, in my opinion, to lift that drought. So the danger may go down and very likely to go back up. That can change. I've seen it change within hours for our fuel model types. We have grasses and those then.
Commissioner Conti.
Does drought equate to fire danger?
There's a correlation. It's not a 1-for-1.
Right. Okay. So can you explain to me maybe a little bit more in detail what that correlation is? Or is that too above both our pay grades?
It may be a little bit above my pay grade. I'll take a shot at it very briefly, in that a drought is obviously the absence of rain, low humidities, and we're missing moisture in the entire system, right? So a little introduction of moisture is going to lower temporarily the drought conditions. That is intraday, not long-term.
Questions from Commissioner Sharp?
Do you know how many cities in the western part of our county, in the more suburban, urban part of our county, actually ban fireworks altogether?
I know for a fact Centennial does. We're a service provider for them, both from a law enforcement perspective and from an emergency management perspective. Littleton, I'm not certain of, nor Inglewood or Greenwood Village. Okay. But I know for certain Centennial does. In fact, they follow the sheriff's direction on that. The town of Deer Trail, the town of Foxfield also adopt as the sheriff implements.
Okay. Just wondering about Aurora, is a pretty big city, too, which when we talk about the western part or the more suburban that would have access to water and would more likely be put in the driveway or on the street, that's up to the cities. That's not up to us. They'll do what they will do on their specific ordinances. And my concern from an unincorporated part of the county is really the eastern part of the county, which is really what, with the exception of a few pockets, I know mostly in Jeff's district, I have a few pockets in my district, some that are close to the Cherry Creek State Park. But out east is probably where I would have my biggest concern, because they're not doing these necessarily in driveways, and that fire that we had was a grassland fire. So, that's a lot of my concern. Is it's not necessarily what the cities are doing. This is only unincorporated Arapahoe County.
Correct. And what we're seeing is even the $1,000 fuels, which are our trees, are incredibly dry and are catching like matchsticks, to the point that this morning the entire Pike National Forest has gone into fire restrictions, and Douglas County's done the same, and much more treed area than we are. And we saw it on our fires 2 weeks ago, and then the Old Victory fire just north of our county line into Adams, where they ended up having to drop more than 15 different trees that were on fire. They just couldn't get them out.
One question from me. Have those fires, both the fire that was in Adams County and the one that you showed us the picture, have we determined the origin of those fires, how they started?
On the state land fire, the origin and cause was based on a power line issue. Something caused that power line to fail and created some sparks that set that fire off. Old Victor, I'm not 100% certain. The preliminary cause appears to be a smoke grenade from a paintball tournament, which would be equivalent to or less heat than a sparkler.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Mr. Fogg? I did have another follow-up question for Mr. Cottrell, I believe it was, about Aurora. If you know, you may know better than about, and if you'd please come forward and use the microphone. Do you have any information about what City of Aurora has done?
The City of Aurora has currently issued firework permits to allow us to sell. And I was just going to address the City of Centennial as well, talking about the ban. The City of Centennial never allows the sale of fireworks, so it's not something that's been instituted. They do, however, allow the use of fireworks. And I think when we're talking cities, I understand city and unincorporated and the difference there. Fortunately, I think that many people don't understand the difference, right? So when they hear Arapahoe County, what it does is it creates a certain amount of outrage, right? Because Aurora says it's okay, and Arapahoe County says it's not, and people think that we're the criminals because we're selling fireworks. You know what I'm saying? In Aurora, and so yes, Aurora has issued permits, and I don't know of any cities in the metro area that do allow the sale, that have prohibited the sale at this point.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other discussion or questions? I just wanted to say one of the things that was said this morning was that if we were to pass this ordinance, that we'd be driving folks that want to have fireworks possibly to choose the illegal fireworks. And I'm not sure I'm buying into that, simply because say Aurora, they're available in Aurora. They could still be buying them in Aurora, and I just think that they'd be more likely to buy the Safe and Sane fireworks where they're able to be purchased, rather than go to the Wyoming type of rockets and mortar kind of fireworks. I just think that would be it. I do want to, however, say that I understand the difficulty for our business folks who have invested in leases and in product, and that the possession is something that is very difficult, one, to enforce, and it's very difficult for those folks that may have saved fireworks from last year or purchased them somewhere. The Safe and Sane fireworks is what I'm talking about, of course, is the legal fireworks. And they're preparing to have a wedding or something further on in the year, and they're buying them now. So I do agree with possibly removing the possession from our ordinance. Any other comments from any commissioners, or I would entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with that. I think possession is a very slippery slope. You know, when did you buy them? Where'd you buy them? I think I'm more concerned about the use than I am the possession of them. And so that would be, and this is a hard one, because I know, having been here a number of years when we've had drought conditions, and I am very sympathetic to small business owners and people who do this. I agree. It's part of the 4th of July. It's a wonderful part, is seeing a celebration, and it is representative of the 4th of July. I am concerned, though, that, as I said, in the cities will handle what they want. I think in terms of our communication, we need to be very careful. I think that's a good point, that unincorporated, and that we need to be very clear if this, I'm going to make a motion, but that the communication be very clear between unincorporated and cities. So I move to adopt the proposed resolution adopting ordinance number 2018-01 and making a finding of high fire danger based upon competent evidence in order to ban the sale and use of fireworks, but amending the ordinance so as not to ban the possession of fireworks, and authorize the county attorney's office to revise the resolution and ordinance in accordance with this motion. And I, not in the motion, but I would say that any communication that the county does, and I think it's important to do good communication, would say that every individual needs to check with their city first to see what their specific position on the use of fireworks or the sale of fireworks in their city is. And my opinion comes mostly from the eastern part of our county.
Thank you for mentioning that. I do think that the fires that we've seen in my district specifically, or close to my district, are something that the public safety is one of the responsibilities of us as government. I think that this is a good motion that you've made, and I will second that motion with the understanding that this ordinance can be modified earlier than the year-long period that it does, that we're allowed to have it go into effect by state statute, that will keep daily, if not weekly, if not daily, contact with our Office of Emergency Operations and with the Sheriff's Office to monitor these conditions. And as we get closer to the 4th of July holiday, this ordinance can be modified. So with that, I'll second. So the motion has been made by Commissioner Sharp, seconded by Commissioner Baker. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Nope. Then this motion carries. Thank you very much. That is the last general business item. Are there any commissioner comments this morning? I'll just say real quickly that I'm associated with the local Korean community, and that the events that we're seeing come out of Singapore, while not a county issue, is something that I believe has hope. And I have relatives in South Korea that are very, very happy about the things that have taken place within the last 24 hours. And I think it's a historical time in our nation's history and that of the Korean Peninsula. So that's my comment. No other commissioner comments? Then we are adjourned.